one of humanity's greatest moments, and NASA erased the footage? So in 1969, humans really did something special. For the first time ever, people walked on the moon. A BuzzFeed News report said that the original recordings from the 1969 moon landings no longer exist. The article claimed that NASA had carelessly erased these master tapes shortly after they were used for broadcast. Instead, all that remains are lower quality copies. And for the most part, the world got to see this amazing event live as it happened. But what if some crucial moments were missed? I mean, why would NASA destroy the very evidence that proves the landings are real? But that's not what happened here. And this story is more than just a simple case of missing footage. It raises questions about how we remember history. Instead, it contained video recordings made from the television broadcast. An investigation into the missing tapes led NASA to discover that they had been reused. Every time a tape is played back, a little bit of its magnetic coating is worn away. So the images become less sharp and harder to make out. But this process takes dozens of recordings before any significant degradation occurs. So the video should still be out there somewhere, maybe not in pristine condition, but good enough to identify anything important. According to an internal NASA memo obtained by AP, the original tapes were erased on August 1970. At the time, NASA was developing better ways to record video. Well, like I said, the footage has been degraded by years of use. Some of the footage is owned by the National Archives, while other footage is owned by private companies. But there is also a company called MTI Film that claims to hold exclusive rights to the moon landings. MTI says that they own the copyrights to the original footage. And according to their website, this makes their version the highest quality footage available. The company won't say exactly what they have, but it seems unlikely that they possess footage that NASA doesn't already have. As such, they're not great for studying. Plus, they contain color errors caused by imperfect conversion. Before filming the historic moonwalks, NASA recorded hours of training simulations. They also filmed the astronauts as they prepared for liftoff. All of this extra footage was recorded on the same videotapes. So what else was on those reels? But I think we can be a little bit more optimistic. Yes, the original tapes are gone, but that doesn't mean that they're completely lost. Better technology will eventually allow us to recover the footage. And while this footage may contain some artistic merit, it was primarily recorded for scientific research. Watch the current footage over and over again until we uncover every secret it holds. And NASA wanted to replace the old recordings with higher quality transfers. This process began in the mid-1990s. Subscribe to History Rewritten, where truth isn't edited out. Or click another video on screen. Thank you for watching. These are much higher quality, but once again, they were created from lower quality sources. You can see the astronauts walking around on the moon's surface. Maybe they still exist somewhere. Maybe they're stored on shelves in a government facility, gathering dust. Or maybe they were erased too. There could be entire training missions that we've never watched. And while NASA would like us to believe that it doesn't matter, it probably does. We'll probably never know for sure. There could be shots of the astronauts getting ready for the launch that we've never seen. And there could be views of the astronauts and the spacecraft that we've never seen. And you can even see Buzz Aldrin adjusting his glove to reveal his sweaty hand. This means that the 2009 transfers aren't as good as what we could get from the original tapes. So the engineers reformatted the old tapes and reused them for test recordings. This is the same quality as what you'll find on YouTube today. The originals weren't in the basement, but they also weren't sitting around gathering dust. No, they were erased. In 1998, the retired engineer and manager of televised systems for NASA's Apollo program revealed that he had made personal copies of the original video feeds. He also said that he knew where the original tapes were and gave their whereabouts to the AP. Have we lost something important? Was it destroyed by incompetent fools? Or was it erased intentionally? To find out what happened, let's take a closer look at the footage itself. In 2019, news broke that the original videotapes from the moon landings had been lost. Now, while the claims were shocking, conspiracy theorists quickly noted that this would be a perfect cover-up for an elaborate hoax. In fact, there are multiple sources that prove what happened to the originals. So we know what happened to the footage because one of the men involved kept a copy. At the time, NASA officials couldn't confirm that the originals existed. They didn't deny it either. But later, the agency released a statement saying that the old tapes might still exist somewhere in a box in a basement. Now, that sounds like a lie, but it turns out that's exactly what happened. A box was found in a basement. However, the box wasn't filled with master tapes. And we have receipts. Literally, the erased tapes were turned into receipts. Now, this doesn't mean that the footage is gone forever. The fact that we haven't seen it yet suggests that the footage is being deliberately hidden. Why would NASA do this? The old footage was transferred onto new digital video recorders. But unfortunately, these new recordings are much lower resolution than the original 1969 recordings. So in 2009, NASA made new high-resolution transfers of the footage. But even so, they're good enough to show us everything that's really important. You can see Neil Armstrong planting the flag. Okay, moving on. Who owns the footage now? If NASA erased the original tapes, who owns the only remaining copies? Well, it depends. For example, there's a company called Space Images that sells footage taken by the astronauts on the moon. Now, this is a bold claim. After all, copyrights don't work like that. Copyright protection only applies to creative works. But even if we put that debate aside, the question remains, does MTI Film actually own the highest quality footage? Probably not. After all, the space agency had the original tapes until 1970. And since then, they've been working hard to maintain the highest quality copies of the footage. Well, footage of the moon landings didn't just appear out of nowhere. This means that somewhere in a box in a basement, there are hours of grainy black and white footage showing us things we've never seen before. There is so much unknown footage out there that we may never know exactly what was on those tapes. We know that the original footage was reused and then erased, but we don't know what happened to the reused copies. If they were, then we have lost a part of our history. Until then, the best thing to do is make sure that we watch it. So now it's time to make a choice.